Parishioners. I am your host, Keith Downey. And my goodness, there's certainly been a rise in hostility towards the Catholic Church. 430 incidents in 2023, double the figure for 2022, amounting to an 800% increase since 2018. Or if you're looking at an average of 39 attacks per month, I mean, these included bomb threats, interruption of worship, and gun-related incidents. So how do we keep our parishes safe, especially during Mass? Well, I'm excited to introduce our guest this morning. He's the CEO of the Porters of St. Joseph, an apostolate that aims to protect those in the pews and the Blessed Sacrament. Brian Eaton, good morning and welcome to the show, Brian.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Now, could you explain, in obviously your own words, what the Porters of St. Joseph is and what inspired you to create this apostolate?
Yeah, so the Porters of St. Joseph, we were founded in 2020, as some of us may remember. It was an interesting year that year. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like most years. And the parish we were attending at the time was located near our state capital here in Arizona. And we were having all sorts of issues related to the different problems going on in the country and the world at that time. And you pick the political persuasion you want. Everyone had an issue that year, and they were down near the state capitol, causing some issues for our parish. On top of that, we had our priest in 2014 had been murdered there by a mentally ill man. So it really was, security at our parish was definitely something on our minds during that period. I personally have a background in military and law enforcement, and I'm a convert. And I came from one of those big mega churches, hands up for Jesus kind of thing. And I was fortunate enough to be on that security team there. And so I had a background in church security as well. So we approached our local priest and said, hey, we as men of this parish, we feel that we have a duty. God's calling us to stand up to protect the Blessed Sacrament and our families, in our community. And we put this program together, and we kind of hit the ground running in 2020. And right about that time, they were having some other issues at our cathedral, which we knew the rector there, and he had reached out to us, and it just started spitballing from there and growing. And next thing you know, we have 16 parishes in 2 dioceses. So wow. We keep walking through the doors that God keeps opening for us.
That's incredible. Yeah, and the Porters of St. Joseph, I mean, just based on what I've seen and heard, really imitate, or at least aim to imitate St. Joseph as the protector of the Holy Church, pillar of families, and terror of demons. How do these titles of St. Joseph guide your work and mission?
Yeah, so we selected St. Joseph as our patron. It seemed to make a lot of sense when we're looking at and there's so many, beautiful saints to choose from, but St. Joseph really stuck out as the daddy, right? When you got a big problem, go to Dad, and praying the litany of St. Joseph, it really, shows you the different titles the church has given him, those different aspects that he can help through his intercession with. And so the protector of the Holy Church really stuck out, as well as then part of my personal conversion was reading Bishop Olmsted's apostolic exhortation Into the Breach, which really, for the first time in my life, gave an actual followable plan on what you're supposed to be doing as a Christian man, right? And so realizing the darkness in our times and related to family, that St. Joseph is calling Catholic men, all men of goodwill, to be good fathers, to be good husbands, to lead their family through these times that we're in. And so we selected the pillar of families. And then the terror of demons, that one also seemed very, very important for the times we're living in too. We talk about, at some point, I would love for my children to look back and say, hey, Dad, the one that you really followed the best is that you lived such a holy life, the demons fled from you like St. Joseph. I think that's just a beautiful aspiration to have as a father, as a husband. So we selected those 3. And then right at about the time that we were expanding outside of our parish is when Pope Francis declared it was this year of St. Joseph. So it really seemed like there was something going on there. So yeah.
Yeah. You're listening to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm Keith Downey, and we're talking with Brian Eaton, CEO of the Porters of St. Joseph, an apostolate that protects parishioners and the Blessed Sacraments. Now, obviously, security and safety at parishes are crucial today, now than ever. I have a Rolodex of instances where I was thinking, wow, we could have used something like this. So I'm curious, how do the Porters of St. Joseph ensure a safe environment for Mass?
Yeah, so we base our training that we do by preparing volunteers, because most of our guys are, obviously they're volunteers. Most don't have some, special forces, Rambo background. They're just regular men that feel called to step up and help protect their communities and their families. And so we put them through a series of trainings to familiarize them with state law, use of force, when it's appropriate or not, de-escalation, active shooter response, first aid, training, stop the bleed, things like that. And then we also have ongoing quarterly training that they do as a group within their own parish, right? So we have our individual skills that we train them with, and then we have their collective skills that we train them with as a group. For example, we had just done, there had been, I don't remember exactly where it was, but there had been a story that had come out as somebody had rushed an altar and attacked a priest. And so we put together a training program, rolled that out for all of our parishes on how do they respond if somebody's rushing the altar to attack clergy or anyone up there. And sure enough, literally like 2 weeks later, after that training had completed at the cathedral, somebody rushed towards the altar while Bishop Dolan was up there, and our volunteers were able to intercept that individual, get them out of the church, secure the church, and prevent anyone from being harmed. So wow. Real world thing here in our own diocese that happened with our own cathedral.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's many listeners out there that are thinking about all the instances that they've experienced probably. And while, this apostolate can be found in the Diocese of Phoenix and Tucson, in Arizona, many of our listeners are in different states. What practical steps can they take to safeguard their local parish and, of course, the Blessed Sacrament, especially if there isn't anything in place yet?
Sure. Well, we are more than happy to expand to other dioceses. As I said, we're just kind of following where God leads us, so they can reach out to us. Probably on our website would be the best way. That's porters of st as in stjoseph.org. So porters of stjoseph.org. And we're happy to explain how our program works and whether that would be a good fit for their parish and their diocese. Contacting people within their own parish, if they have former law enforcement officers or current law enforcement officers, those that have served in the military, put together a security committee, and contact their own local law enforcement to see, what steps they could be taking there. But we've done this in 2 different dioceses and 16 different parishes, and we're happy to help out in any way we can.
Nice. Now, is there any? Now, you mentioned a story before of during Mass with Bishop Dolan there, but is there any story that you can share that really made you feel confident, like, yeah, I'm glad we created this apostolate. Like, this is exactly why we made that. Any other story that you can share with us?
Yeah, we've, there was at a parish I was at, we had, it was actually where we weren't even serving. It just happened to be a porter that was there at the parish, but because of the training he'd been through, a mentally ill man showed up, started acting belligerently, attempted to assault some women that were at the parish. And he used the skills and training he had to remove that individual from the parish without getting harmed himself or harming anyone else. And, then those women were not assaulted, which they possibly could have been had he not been there and been through that training.
Wow. Yeah, it's one thing to be present and kind of aware of things that are happening, but, having this type of training really does help, like you say, intercept the issue and remove them from the situation. So that's, I know there's a lot of guys out there wanting to this is something that I definitely need to do.
For sure. Or if you look at,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you look at videos of different attacks on the church, you'll see there's men, and we call it kind of the up and down, where they're start to get up out of the pew, but you can kind of see it in their head. Like, can I do something? Am I allowed to do something? What should I do? You know, the desire to do this is there in so many men in the church. They just maybe not know what they can legally do, what they should do, what does Father want them to do, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And that's kind of where we come in and give that game plan, give those written out directions and guidance, so they feel confident when they do, you know, have that, hey, there's something wrong here. I need to do something. What is that something I should do? And I feel confident doing that legally and morally.
That's very important in today's world, to do it things by the book, because obviously we don't want anything to go wrong by thinking, well, you know, we're strong and capable, but then we just, you know, maybe not really think things through. And yeah, that could certainly be an issue. And that's why very important to have something in place, especially with some sort of training. Any lasting words you'd like to share as our listeners as they start their day?
First, right?
If they do nothing else, once Mass begins, lock the doors. That's the advice I'd like to leave. That seems to be the guidance from most dioceses, the insurance companies. That's our own guidance. If you do nothing else as a parish, once Mass begins, lock the doors.
Yeah, that's definitely incredible advice. I know that my parish started doing this for daily Mass just because, you know, obviously there isn't as many people at Sunday Mass, but there also isn't as many ushers to help assist if there is anything going down. So yes, locking the doors once Mass begins. Don't be late to Mass. That's another great piece of advice. My goodness. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. We can find more information about the Porters of St. Joseph a couple ways. portersofstjoseph.org, as well as Porters of St. Joseph on Instagram and all of the socials there. That's it for Morning Joy, where truth matters. Wow, this one went by really quick, but we understand Holy Mass is happening right after this, so if you aren't able to stay for the after show clubhouse, which can be done by going to all of our socials, YouTube, Instagram, X, so on and so forth, God bless, make it a joyful day. We'll see you bright and early Monday morning, 6 a.m. 7 Central, 7 a.m. Central, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. There we go. Need more coffee. But yes, we'll see you in the After Show Clubhouse. We'll see you next week.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters. Hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today.